If you are running virtual machines on Proxmox, having a backup is essential, because sooner or later, something is going to break. So in this video, I am going to show you how to backup your Proxmox VMs to a Proxmox Backup Server. And why PPS? Because using this bad boy you can make incremental backups, and I will also enable client-side encryption, so the backups are encrypted before they even leave your Proxmox server. I will show you how to save your backups on your own server or how to save them on a VPS. So enough talking, let's get started. Installing Proxmox Backup Server is really easy. You just go to their website, then go to Downloads, and here it is, so just click on Download. After downloading it, you can flash it on any USB stick, then you can install it just like any other operating system. After you boot with the USB drive, you get this welcome screen. So here you can select if you want to install it graphically or using a terminal. Here you select which storage device you want to use to install Proxmox Server on. I would highly recommend having 3 different storage devices, so you need a small one to install PPX on, and you need 2 separated drives to backups on. The reason why you need 2 drives to store the backups on is just for redundancy, which means if one of these drives failed for any reason, you still have your backups on the other one. So for the OS, I will select the 23GB disk right here. Then you have to define a password and enter your email address, give your server a host name, an IP address, and next. Proxmox server is now installed, so just go to its IP address with the port 8007. Log in with the username root and the password you defined before. As you see, the interface looks really similar to Proxmox Virtual Environment. There is a small fix you have to apply right after installing Proxmox, and it is this bad boy right here. So it's telling you, Proxmox uses the enterprise repository by default, which is a place where Proxmox gets its updates from. But don't worry, there is also the so-called non-subscription repository, and we are going to tell our Proxmox Backup Server to use it. And to do this, you have to SSH to your Proxmox server. First you have to remove the enterprise repository. So with this command you are telling it to remove this file, which is the source list of the PPS enterprise repository, which is this one right here. And with this command, you tell your server to create this new file, and we are telling it to use the no subscription repository. And that's it. Now you can type apt update, and you see right here, now we are using the right repository. And Proxmox is now telling us the server can get updates. This is how to install Proxmox Backup Server on your own hardware. But if you are like me and you want to save your backups outside your home, which is better because it's not a good idea to have your production server and the backup on the same place. So that's why I will save my backups on a small server from MivoCloud. And don't worry, the backups will get encrypted before leaving your PC, which means even if someone hacked your VPS, they won't be able to read your data. And for this, I will use a MivoCloud H2 VM, which gives you 1 virtual CPU, 2GB of RAM, and 1TB HDD, which is more than enough for my needs. This VM costs only €9 a month, and if you go with a monthly plan, you pay only €5.95 a month. This is my MivoCloud Debian VPS, and to install Proxmox Backup Server on it, you only need to paste this command. Now don't worry about typing the commands, as always, they are in the first comment. So with this command we are installing wget and GNU-PG, then we download and install Proxmox keyring to our system. And with this command, we are adding the Proxmox repository to our system. So just like before, we are using the PPS no subscription. Then we are installing system updates and Proxmox server itself. Now it's installed, so you can go to its IP address and the port 8007. Alright, now let's configure this bad boy. First you have to create a data store, which is the place that holds your backup. I will call it PPX, and tell it where you want it to save the backups. So I will create a directory under root, I will call it PPX. With prune you tell your system when it should check for older updates, and with garbage collector you tell it when it should really remove the data from your disk. You don't have to worry about this, just keep the default entries right here. Now we have created the data store, let's make a small step towards security, which is adding another user to the server, because it's not a good idea to use the root server for everything. And for this, just go to access control, and click on add. I will call the user backup, so enter your username and a secure password, The user is now created. Now let's give this new user access to our data store. To do this, just go to Permissions, Add and User Permission. Select the path, it is under Data Store PBX, and the user Backup. And for rule, I will give him Data Store Admin. If you want to be like super secure, you can give this user only Data Store Backup permissions, which means this user can only make backups, which is a good idea because with this permission you can make sure that only the root user can delete backups. For my case, I will just select Data Store Admin, which can do everything with the backup. That's it. Now we can go to Proxmox Virtual Environment and bind the backup server to it and create the first backup. So go to Data Center and Storage, and here you can click Add and select Proxmox Backup Server. For ID, I will just select PPS. Here you enter the server IP address, the username. You can just find it under Access Control because it needs the username and the real M. The password right here. The data store name, it is PPX. And here you need the fingerprint of your backup server. To get this, just go to the dashboard and click on Show Fingerprint. Paste it here and add. Then you have to open it one more time, go to Encryption, and make sure to select Auto-generate a client encryption key. And make sure to save this encryption key in a safe place, because if you lose it, you may lose access to your backups. It's connected, now you can configure your backups. So go to Backup. Under Storage you have to select your Proxmox Virtual Server, and here you select the schedule of your backups, and select which VMs you want to backup. If you want to get notifications when the backup is done, you can configure it right here. Now very important, retention. Here you can select how many backups you want to keep. So you can say keep the last 5 backups, or like the last 30 days. I will stay with last 5 backups, and OK. Let's start this backup right now. Backup done, so as you see right here, it started at 2245 and finished after 2 minutes. The size of the disk is 15 GB, but, and that's why I love Proxmox, it only backups 600 MB of this disk, which is only how much data we are using on this disk, so you don't have to backup the whole 15 GB, only what is getting used, and this is even better, it compressed this data, which means we ended up with 212 MB to backup. So if you think that backing up to SMB or NFS is enough, you have to think one more time about it. And we still have one another thing, take a look at this. If I started another backup, this time it took only 9 seconds, and because it uses incremental backup, it had to backup only 10 MB, which is just the changes from the last backup, and even this 10 MB got compressed, so now we have only 750 KB, which means it reused 600 MB from the last backup, which represent 89.3%. Not only this, we can also make file-level restore, which means you don't have to restore the whole VM, you can just restore the files you want. And to do this, you just select the backup you want and click on File Restore. And you see right here, you can restore the files you want. So you can select Mail, let's say, and select Download As. You can download it as zip file or tar. If you decided to save your backups on a VPS, make sure to make this server as secure as possible. So I would configure the firewall of this VPS to block everything, like really everything from outside, and make a VPN connection between your VPS and your firewall at home. And that's it for today. I showed you how to install and configure Proxmox Backup Server. Then I showed you how to connect your Proxmox Virtual Environment to it, and how to encrypt your backup files and configure incremental backups. So I did my part, now you are in. Consider supporting the video by leaving a like and a comment, and tell me in the comments if you ran into any problem. I reply to all comments. And if you want to support the channel even more, you can send me a super thanks, buy me a coffee, or maybe join the channel, which lets you vote for new video titles. There is also other benefits like you see videos before everyone, we can have live chat, and many other things you can discover yourself. So thank you for watching, and see you the next time. This is Libre-Data, and you are just getting started.